You know we run this every day, all day, and we ain't tired yet.
Hey everybody. You know, a lot of It Runs Deep conversations have been on how physical activity has helped people through their ups and downs in life. But today's guest adds another layer to that, songwriting and performing. His music reflects his emotions, his journey, you know, and the things that he's going through in life. And as it turns out, he's also a serious runner, a two-time Boston Marathon qualifier. Everybody welcome Peyton McMahon.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. It's my first podcast.
And this is going to be totally different than anything we've ever done. You know, like I told you, I see it like a tiny desk that NPR does. So I think this is going to be a really cool thing to do. I know Brandon's excited about it back there behind the camera. So, Peyton, you and I met when you and your dad, Neil, came out to running group. And y'all have run together since then. Both hugely talented runners, and you both have qualified for Boston, which we'll talk about later. You know, tell me about, you know, coming out to the runs with your dad.
Yeah, so I had always kind of run leisurely. Like I'd run a couple half marathons, but nothing super intense or never followed any real training. And there was one time where he had started running at varsity and asked if I wanted to go with him, and I did. And it was the first time I did like a structured speed workout, and it was really fun. I'd never done something like that, so that kind of hooked me in and kept me coming.
And you've done really great. As I tell people, misery loves company, so we're all out there suffering together. Well, we'll get into that later, but let's talk a little bit about your music. I know that you've had the distinction of being on American Idol, and that you made it to Hollywood Week, which, as I understand it, over 100,000 people will try out an audition on any given season. Only 144 make it to Hollywood Week. Tell us about that experience. That have to have been fabulous.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience for sure. I used to audition for that stuff a lot just because I grew up watching the show and saw it could be like a ticket to making your dreams come true. And I guess I had auditioned for Idol a few times and never even made it to the audition that you see on TV. And this time I finally actually did. And it's kind of funny because I had taken like a year or two off from auditioning for anything before that. And I wasn't really nervous for the first audition, didn't really stress too much about it. And then once I made it through that one and I was like onto the TV one, all of a sudden it got so stressful because I was second guessing like my song choices and every little thing about it. But it was a really, really cool experience. And then making it to Hollywood Week.
Who were the judges then?
It was Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and Luke Bryan.
How are they in real life? Did you get to meet them at all, or they were regular people, or
yeah, pretty
Hollywood?
much. Like the audition day, you don't really see them other than in the audition room, and they were really nice. I wasn't expecting, like, Lionel was actually really, really cool to me and very nice. Katy Perry was kind of tough compared to the other two, which was surprising. And then Luke was also really nice. And during Hollywood Week, it was cool because like the first round, it was in this theater in downtown LA, and they had like their desk they were sitting at and watching everybody perform and stuff. And we were all just sitting in the audience watching, and they were kind of interacting with us in between stuff. And yeah, they seemed cool. They seemed nice.
Probably a little starstruck with that, or at least, you know, a lot of people would be.
A little bit at first. It's kind of like, whoa, that's Katy Perry, that's Lionel Richie. But you kind of get used to them being there, especially on a day like that where it's like all day long and it's a lot of waiting. So that was, the coolest part of that experience, honestly, was just getting to be around so many other people that have the same passion and do what I do and make friends. That's always the best part of this stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. And speaking of starstruck, I believe you shared the stage with another good country singer. Tell us all about that. And I think we actually have a video that Brandon's going to show us on stage with Kelly Clarkson.
And he's super talented. His name is Peyton McMahon. Come on out here, blow him away. This is your stage.
Tell us about that. How did you get on stage with Kelly?
Yeah, so I saw she was doing this thing on her tour a few years back, where some of the cities she would go to, she would have an undiscovered artist, like in the middle of her set, she would introduce them and they'd come out and like play a cover song with her band. And I was like, I want to do that. So I tweeted her a handful of like, I used to post covers on YouTube, and I tweeted her a handful of them.
Is that all you do, is just tweet people to get on there? That was the protocol?
Pretty much. I mean, it changes, but yeah, I just tweeted them to her. And basically I wasn't the show I think I mentioned I would do it at was in Dallas, and I kind of forgot about it. I wasn't like, I didn't have a ticket, so I didn't have plans to go. And then the afternoon, the day before, I got an email from her music director saying that she wanted me to do it. And so early the next morning, drove to Dallas, got there to rehearse and sound check with her band. And in the middle of her set, she introduced me, brought me on stage. It was the coolest experience ever. Like, it was just so surreal.
That's incredible. Our viewers will get to see a clip of that. And, you know, Kelly had only nice things to say about you. So
she was so sweet, so cool.
What a terrific thing. Well, I know songwriting is a big part of what you do, you know, even though we're talking about performances. And then some songwriters probably write songs at random. Maybe they do it for a living or, you know, or whatever. But I get the feeling from you that you're one of those people that the lyrics that you write are very personal to you, about things that you're going through, some emotions and things like that. Tell us about that. And then I think I'm going to ask you to play one of my favorite songs that it seems like really typifies what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up listening to artists that wrote about what they go through and wrote about their lives. Like John Mayer was an early influence, and Taylor Swift from the beginning. I think she was one of the first people when I was like a preteen hearing someone who was around the same age singing about her life, which you didn't really hear much of that age. So that really inspired me to just use songwriting as an outlet for stuff I was going through, which for me, it's anxiety. Like I've always really, really struggled with anxiety. And songwriting kind of helps me vent, and I don't know, it's kind of therapeutic to let it all out in lyrics and then craft it into a song, and then you have this piece of art that you made out of it. So that's what's really, really cool about it. But it's super helpful, and it's always like one of my biggest goals with music is to connect with other people that are going through the same thing, because that's what's helped me with music as a fan of listening to music. And yeah, I just want to be able to do that for people too, for if they're going through the same thing.
Yeah, and it seems like it in the song Fear of the Unknown, and you sort of end it with, you know, I'm my own worst enemy. And
yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that sometimes think that, you know, that I get in my own way, and the fear of the unknown, you know, what's next? You know, you think that you're missing out on life because you're scared to move on. Is that kind of part of it?
Yeah, I think like anytime, I mean, one of the definitions of anxiety is basically having a fear of the unknown and not being uncomfortable with not knowing what an outcome of a situation is going to be. And I don't know, I think sometimes it holds you back from taking leaps of faith in life and taking chances and stepping out of your comfort zone. And, you know, you kind of recognize times in your life where you're like, man, I wish I could be one of those people that could drop everything and just do this or that. But you have these voices in your head telling you like,
and you're
no,
not one of those.
No, I wish I was. Maybe one day I will be, but no, I have like voices in my head telling me like, no, you shouldn't do that, because what if this happens? And then what if that happens? And you don't want that to happen. So better not even try. And that's something I've always tried to make myself get over and put myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, which is not easy, but yeah, you got to do it.
Well, let's hear Fear of the Unknown, because I think everybody will understand a little bit better what we're talking about if they really listen to the lyrics.
Yeah, for sure. I'll play a little bit of it.
I can't wait. Oh, by the way, everybody, this song is so popular. It's probably got close to 350,000 plays on Spotify, so you've got to listen to the whole thing.
I dream of taking to the skies and trying on a different life. I tell myself I'll go the distance if I'm asked, but I can only run with an escape hatch. I'm watching people pass me as a voice is creeping in, saying you would never make it in the end. Who knows what's even out there? Say savior on the ground, but deep down in my soul I really know that the fear of the unknown, it's making me fall short of what I could be. And it's the places I don't go, where everyone I know is waiting there for me. Someday I'll finally see I'm my own worst enemy.
Oh, that is so fabulous. That is, it's
you.
just really a great, great song. And I think if people really listen to the lyrics and go back and listen to the lyrics, they'll see a lot of you in that. Which, you know, looking at you look like the cutest, most together guy in the world with not a care or anxiety. Where did those anxieties start?
Honestly, I don't know exactly what really made it start. I think it's just the way my brain's wired kind of thing. But I can remember being like a kid and having this really irrational fear of getting the stomach virus. And that, I think, was kind of one of the earliest things I can think of that like really my anxiety really manifested. And I would be like, if there was a kid at school who I was talking to who said they didn't feel good or like got sick, I would be stressed for the next 2 days that I caught whatever they had, if they even had anything contagious. And so I think that's like one of the earlier examples of it. But I think just the way my brain's wired, I'm always kind of overthinking things to the extreme and thinking of worst case scenarios, and I have a hard time just kind of sitting back and letting life happen.
Well, I bet you're talking to a lot of people out there that can relate in a bunch of different ways, whether it's a stomach virus or any number of things. But you and I have talked about the fact that there's these things that you're working on, and even to some extent, the thing that you love, the songwriting and singing, was a problem for you. You know, that you had a real performance anxiety that was keeping you from being all you could be in that area, and something happened. You know, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up, my grandmother taught piano, so that was kind of my introduction to music when I was a kid, and then I started playing guitar, and that stuff I didn't have an issue doing in front of people, but I loved to sing and write songs, and I was terrified to do it in front of anybody. And like anytime I was home alone, I would just practice, and I just loved it so much, but I was terrified to do it in front of anybody. And when I was 16...
It's so funny, even your family, because I know your family, they're loving and embracing, and you couldn't be anything but encouraging for you.
They are. I don't know why I think it's like a vulnerable thing, I guess, I don't know. But, and it's also like not a common thing that I grew up seeing like other people, like singer-songwriters or anything. Like I just never saw that in my day-to-day life. So
did you think you were talented?
I think I had something, but I didn't really know like if I wasn't that good. I just knew I loved it, and I thought I had maybe something. So when I was 16, my family and I went to Disney World, and they had just opened up this American Idol experience attraction, and it was like the stage from the show. You could go as an audience member and like watch people perform. They had a host and judges, and you could vote. And I saw it, and I don't know what came over me, but I was like, man, this would be a dream come true. This looks like it'd be so much fun. If I ever want this dream to ever happen, I need to get over this fear. And I think it helps being like in a different city, knowing nobody I knew was there outside of my family.
Did something just click that day?
I think so. I think being away from everything and just seeing that and seeing it was just this perfect opportunity to try something like that. I auditioned, and before I knew it, I ended up like winning the whole day.
Oh. And I believe Brandon has a clip of that, awesome. Of your actual audition and you winning. So that's got to be fun.
Yeah, no, it was really surreal, especially going from like, I remember the very first audition for it, like you had to audition in a room for this person, and I was under 18 at the time, so my dad had to be with me, which made it even harder. And it was just crazy to go from like singing in front of nobody to singing in front of an audience of, I don't remember how many people, but
it looked like a pretty big crowd, and from what I saw in the video.
It was a decent sized crowd, yeah. And I mean, I think in a lot of ways that made it easier to have like just a big crowd of faceless people than like a small room of people that I could single out and that I would know. I think that made it a lot easier. But yeah, after that, there was a video of it that I think like one of my friends saw it, and before I knew it, it kind of just had circulated through my whole high school class, and everybody was super, super supportive and really nice about it, which was great. And
did you become the popular kid overnight?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, it was cool. There was definitely a week where like I had to, every class, the teacher wanted to play it for the class, and I had to ask to like stand out in the hallway while they did that because I was still like really shy about it. But they were super, super encouraging. And after that, like started a band with some friends, and we played like the Battle of the Bands, and it was a really cool kind of environment to help me break out of my shell a little bit.
What a great metamorphosis. Well, I know I might be putting you on the spot a little bit, but I was going to ask you to maybe tell us some of how you use your lyrics to show some of your emotions or challenges. Could you pick up your guitar and play a couple of lyrics and you know, 2 or 3, whatever you want to do. We're loving our Tiny Desk concert.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Yeah, here's another one. It's a song I put out earlier this year that so obviously this is what I want to be doing for a living, and I get really inspired by artists and seeing live music. And a couple years ago, I saw Mumford & Sons at Jazz Fest, so I've always been a fan of their music. And watching them live at this festival that I've gone to as a kid, and they were bringing up like special guests like Trombone Shorty, and it just looked like they were having the time of their lives up there. And I just loved the community aspect of it. And I just seeing that right in front of me, how badly I wanted it, it just really, really made me so like eager, and just like filled me with this longing of like, I want to be up there so bad. I want to have friends like that playing music. And so I wrote this song called In That World that kind of, I think, just explains exactly how I was feeling in that moment. And it's kind of cool because in a little bit of a full circle moment, like a few days after I finished writing it, I got the opportunity to open for one of my favorite artists, Dermot Kennedy. And so I played it there, and it was just kind of a cool like full circle moment. But anyway, I'll play a little bit of it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm surrounded by a million faces. They mean well, but they don't understand. They fill the time, but they don't fill the space. And those who can, they don't know who I am. I watch them through a screen. I'm with them in dreams. But when I wake up, it's like I haven't slept for days. I'm outside looking in. Where do I begin? 1 foot inside the door before it ends. What I'd give, oh, if I could live in that world. What I'd give, oh, if I could live in that world. It's like I'm locked out of the party 'cause they don't know that I'm one of them. I'm banging on the doors and yelling, someone come and let me in. The kick is getting louder and the reaper's a doubter. I feel them closing in.
Anyway, yeah, that's
Oh man,
a little
I
bit
can
of that song.
feel every bit of that.
Thank
That
you.
was fantastic.
Thank you so much. It's a fun one to play.
Tell us about any others. Tell us about some of the other music and what the outlet might be for you. What are the emotions and the
Yeah,
film?
so I mean, I write about anything I'm going through. Another recent one was, this is kind of an interesting one because I wrote this song about a year ago, my dog passed away, and it was really, really hard, as I'm sure anybody who's ever gone through that.
I know your dog.
Yeah, Gracie, she was the sweetest. And in those final days, like just dealing with the anxiety that associated with the unknowns of like, is this going to happen? When is it going to happen? What's it going to be like when she's gone? How am I going to feel? Am I going to get through it? Like all of those unknowns were flying through my head, and I kind of wanted to write a song exploring that. But I wrote it actually earlier this year on a writing trip, and wrote it with a couple guys, and wanted to make it a little more generalized to whether it's like a breakup or just losing someone in your life.
To loss in general.
Yeah, like I wanted it to be relatable to those kinds of things too, but that's where I was pulling it from, was from that time. So yeah, it's called Memory Out of Me. I'll play a little bit of it.
My dog turns 12 today, so.
Oh, happy birthday to... That's
Bye.
so... Yeah.
I'm sitting in the corner as it's sinking in. You hesitate to look into my eyes like it's some kind of sin. How'd we even get it? It's getting hard to hold. Why you letting go? I'm living out my worst fear. How'd you get so cold, leaving me alone? Don't make a memory out of me. Don't make a memory out of me. Oh baby, please. Don't say I'm easy to forget. I'll never find myself again. I'm begging, please. It's gonna kill me slow. I'll be running from a ghost I'll never beat. Cause if you take my heart and leave, I can't take your memory out of me. Can't take a memory out of me.
I could sit here all day and listen to it.
I appreciate that.
It's just so fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, let's move a little bit into your running.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. I know that you've got songwriting and music, but you know, you came to the run for the fun of it with Neil, your dad, and now you're a 2-time Boston qualifier. And I remember in Louisiana Marathon a couple years ago that I was riding back and forth, and I was at the North Boulevard overpass trying to see how everybody was doing. And you came by, and I looked at my watch, and I realized it's like, oh my God, Peyton is on a BQ time. And so I hustled on my bike. I said, I have got to be at that finish line to watch him finish in that BQ time. And that was such a neat experience.
No, that I still think about that and appreciate you riding with me there so much. That really, really helped that last stretch. Running has always been such a great anxiety reliever for me. Just channeling that energy, that nervous energy, into some physical activity. It's so, so helpful. It helps you decompress. And even if it's like you're not really pushing yourself and you're going for like a leisurely run on a nice day and listening to music, it just helps me zone out and just stop thinking about anything that I'm stressed about and really, I don't know, connect with nature, connect with music, connect with my mind. And it also really helps, keeping me in good physical shape. It helps my voice a lot. Like it helps me, it helps me warm up my voice. I don't know like what the science behind that is, but it's like a miracle worker. If I wake up and my voice is not sounding good and my upper range isn't there, I'll go run a few miles and it sounds much better.
Maybe just blood flow in general. Who knows?
Yeah, that's probably it. But yeah, no, music and running go hand in hand a lot. I also love like some of my songs. There's one song in particular of mine called Someone that I made specifically at a tempo that would be like a good running.
Can you play
cadence.
a little of that?
Yeah, sure. The version I play acoustic, it's definitely
Let me see if it's still my
slower.
tempo. I don't know. Okay, slower.
So
that
this
might
is
be all right.
the way I played it acoustic is slower.
It's kind of funny how you always think you're fine, living on your own. You think that you'll always have the time to find your way home. But freedom isn't kind, it doesn't keep you warm. It's slowly twisting knife. I wish that I could find someone I would die for, bring me back to life. Someone who will catch me, help me through the night. 'Cause these days the world, it feels so small, with no one with me through it. Oh, and I need that.
So there's an up-tempo version of that.
Yes.
Or that 180 cadence that we all try to get.
Yeah, it's more like a... It definitely has that, kind of like drum beat.
That 180.
Yeah,
That's what
like
we strive for, that 180 cadence of footfall.
Yes,
thing,
exactly. So that was like my goal. That's what I like to do sometimes with songs, is like, it might be sad, or like I'll write it slower and acoustic, but I like to speed it up and kind of give it more of a energetic arrangement that's better to run to, because I love running to music. That's one of my favorite things, especially like in the depths of a marathon, like in that last 6 miles, hearing a good song come on that has that kind of, I don't know, good cadence, good beat and energy. Like, it just gives you an energy burst. And
Can
helps.
you think of one that you love in your last 6 miles?
Ooh, man, that's tough. There's one I really, really like called, it's by this band I love called the 1975, called Looking for Somebody to Love. And it's just got this really up-tempo, perfect beat that just, you want to match your cadence to. It really does give you a burst of energy. It's kind of hard to explain.
I'm going to have to listen for that one.
It's a good one. I actually made a running playlist it's on my Spotify too, of like all of my favorite songs to run to. And I constantly update it because it's so fun to curate stuff like that.
I'm going to have to look that up. Well, for the people out there, they may not realize that you ran Boston qualifying times, and most people would think, well, that means I'm going to run Boston Marathon. But in your case, unfortunately, that's not true. And I don't agree with Boston Marathon's policy on this at all. But tell the everybody listening and viewing.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, races like Boston have qualifying times, which you have to meet a qualifying time depending on your age range.
And they're really stiff.
They're very stiff. And for 34 and under, it used to be 3 hours. You just had to get under 3 hours. I mean, it actually used to be higher than that, but it used to be 3 hours. And for a few years, everybody who got it got into the race. And so my first time trying to qualify was not a good day. It was really, really bad weather. It was windy. I missed it by like 50 seconds. And that year, everybody who qualified got in. And the next year, the year that you were riding on your bike with me, that was my first time getting a BQ time. And I got 2:57. I thought I had, they had let everybody in who got in.
A 3-minute cushion, you would think.
Yeah. And everybody had gotten in the past few years. So I thought I was in. And it turned out there were too many people that qualified and applied, and they had to add a buffer. And you don't know what that buffer is until like months later, whenever you sign up for the race. So yeah, found out that you had to run like 6 or 7 minutes under the qualifying time, and I run 3. And so then the next year,
it's a hard break.
Yeah. And then the next year qualified again with a little bit more of a cushion. They pushed it further down, and then it happened again. And now they've even lowered the qualifying time to 2:55, and they even have a buffer on that this year. So yeah, there's been, I think, such a running boom, especially, I guess, with COVID. A lot of people picked up running, and so many people apply and qualify. And so they have to add this buffer because they can't let everybody in. But it's kind of a bummer when you think you're into this big race you've been trying to get into. And
you would love to run it with your dad, Neil, who's qualified multiple times and always runs spectacular there.
Yeah, no, I love going. I'll usually go on the trip to watch the race, and it's so inspiring to watch. It's Boston's an awesome city. I love it so much, and the race is so special. And just watching it so many times, it makes you more eager to do it. And so I would love to hopefully at some point get in.
Houston this year?
Doing Houston in January, okay. So I'm excited.
Cross our fingers.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, Peyton, what's next? With a guy that's got the fear of the unknown, what's your next move? Or are you evolving?
Yeah. So, I'm still just really trying to write and put as much music out as I can and put myself out there as much as I can. And eventually I want to make a move. I'm in New Orleans a lot, and I love the the music scene there, even though it's a little different than the kind of music I make, but there's definitely starting to be a kind of a community of artists that make the kind of music I make there. And I really want to get to like LA eventually, just because every time I've gone out there, it's just incredible seeing the amount of other artists and writers and people that are like-minded to connect with. And I really want to be in that world at some point. So that's kind of my long-term goal.
And we hope you'll eventually come back to Baton Rouge. We hate to lose all the cool kids.
Oh yeah, no, Baton Rouge. This is my hometown, so I don't think I could ever fully uproot myself from here. I think I'm always going to be coming back in some way, shape, or form.
Good. Well, thank you so much for being on here, Peyton.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody, you need to go on Spotify and listen to all his music and listen to some of the lyrics a little more closely than you can today. And we always close out the segments with what I call running shorts, and it's life lessons on the run. And this one I tried to tie into the musical theme that you bring to the set. So back numerous years ago, several of us, 5 of us, went up to Mississippi Blues Marathon and Half Marathon. Matter of fact, Kim Dominic Charles, who was a previous guest on here, was one of the people. And so it was in Jackson, Mississippi. I remember that day. It was uncharacteristically 18 degrees real temperature. So the wind chill was even more than that. So it was so cold that I remember not being able to get to the water stop because people would spill the water and it would freeze immediately. So people were slipping and falling, and so you really couldn't get water. And it was so windy that your eyes were watering. And I mean, I remember having ice on my eyelids, so I couldn't close my eyes really to do that. So anyway, that's all to say. It was really a brutal half marathon. I was running the half marathon. But one of the reasons I wanted to go, besides being with my friends, I love friends trips, is that I really wanted to win the blues harmonica, a harmonica that you got. So I actually won that. I brought it because this was the main reason I did it. And so, I was determined to learn to play this. So let me see if I don't get my performance anxiety.
Yes, that's awesome.
I'll accompany you when you go to LA.
Yes,
we'll do
love a harmonica. That's awesome.
We'll do a 2-person thing.
Yes.
Well, I guess my life lesson for that is what you don't have in talent, you make up in determination.
Yeah.
I think that's been the story of my running career.
I mean, you've got plenty of talent, but
no, a lot more determination than any talent whatsoever. So, but thank you so much, Peyton. I appreciate everything you've done.
I really
appreciate. A lot of people will love to hear this podcast.
I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Thanks.